All right, welcome back. This is another new episode of Hanging Einstein. I want to first thank everybody who's been checking these out, kind enough to do so. Please do me a huge favor. If you enjoy this at all, just click the like button on the video and subscribe. It's free, and you'll never miss an episode. And there's some great guests already and some big names coming on in the future as well, including today, another huge guest. I'm joined today by Mr. Jake Ciely, the All-In Kid. Jake, good evening. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's all downhill for you from now on. This is the peak. This is the apex. I'm just letting you know right now.
It's all downhill. All right, so I've reached the mountaintop. No, this is actually I'm honored because you're somebody that I've been trying to get to be able to talk to a little and kind of rub shoulders with and kind of feed off of your energy and your notes and stuff because you're so well regarded. But every time I've had an opportunity to cross paths with you, just something has intervened. So I'm glad to finally get some one-on-one time with you today. Why don't you tell everybody, for those who don't know, what exactly it is you do and where you are?
Well, first, you're too kind. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know we were trying to get together in Monmouth Park, and that didn't work out. There's just so much going on. I think you interviewed everybody except for me, and then we were getting ready to go, and your battery died, which is
yes, exactly. That's exactly what happened, and I felt horrible about that. But there is a true story.
Yeah. But I definitely appreciate the kind words. But yeah, so for everybody, I'm the senior writer over at RotoExperts. Basically. I don't even know what you would call me over at the Fantasy Sports Network because I have like 17 bosses. So I'm talent over there, I guess you could put it. Okay. Between doing the videos with Pat Mayo, sometimes going up there. I did the DraftKings show a couple times with Nando. So basically, senior writer at RotoExperts, overall talent for Fantasy Sports Network, and then just everything else you want to throw in between answering every single person's Twitter questions because the thing is, and I think that's how we first started talking was across Twitter is I kind of see Twitter as if you came up to me on the street, we're like, hey, Jake, what do you think about this? I want to just keep walking past you. So I've always treated Twitter as like, you took the time, you know what I think, you want to talk to me, right? I'm going to answer. Hopefully, and this is going to sound stupid, but hopefully I don't get to the point. I mean, there's good and bad. I hope I don't get to the point with Matthew Berry where I can't answer everybody because that's always what I've done and been very personal to me to answer everybody.
Yes.
But at the same 600, I don't even know what he has, 700,000 followers now. You just can't answer everybody. So I want to get to that level, but at the same time, I like the personality of being able to interact with everybody.
Hey, yeah, and you know what? That's totally understandable. And I'm still about 150 shy of hitting 2,000. So you're well beyond me. But
you're gonna get once you get to the first 1,000's the toughest to get.
Yeah.
Once you start getting to 2, 3, it'll start moving quicker because I found that out. It's like once you kind of get that first 1,000. I remember I was in a race with Dr. Roto trying to get to 1,000 first.
Right.
And I think he barely beat me because he got on Sirius XM. But like once you hit that level, it'll start moving up, especially you're doing a great job with all this, all the exposure you're getting with the other people involved, and that's definitely going to help.
And you know what? I'm trying. It's really, and I tell people, I'm going to tell you as well right now. It's honestly, it's more of a benefit to me because you guys are doing more for me than I'm doing for you guys at this point. But it's an equal opportunity business, and everybody's been like more than helpful. And somehow or another, we all kind of connect. Whether you only have 1 or 2 articles out. It was probably for somebody that worked with you or is working with you currently or in the past or whatever the case is. So it's all kind of, 6 degrees of separation. You can pretty much match people up together. But as far as like answering the questions and all that kind of stuff, the reason I wanted to start doing video was one, I personally don't like my voice as a standalone. So I thought maybe I could enhance it a little with the character and the personality. But the real reason was in the summer, I was walking down the street and I saw a guy with, the league champion t-shirt, like the free giveaway, like in the free ESPN league or something.
Yeah.
I'm a big wise ass. And I just wanted to stop there and interview him on the street and go, who did you ride to the championship last year? What was your big waiver moves? Because who wears that shirt? But it was so funny. I probably would actually, if I got one, but that was kind of the impetus for this.
It's like the participation trophy.
Exactly. So where exactly do you reside and where did you grow up?
Virginia Beach, originally from Passaic. I was born in Passaic, grew up in Maywood, New Jersey. Moved down when I was 8 years old in '86. For everybody who wants to do the quick math, I know I don't look like it, and I hate the fact that I'm that old. But That's more so the fact that I'm still single at this age. That's the most frustrating part. But yeah, we moved down. That's actually why I'm a Mets, Giants, Rangers fan. Other sports we could get into if anybody really cares, but I didn't watch the other sports until I moved down here in college and stuff like that. But yeah, so originally from New Jersey, have all New York family, New Jersey family, but basically Virginia Beach since '86. But don't call me a Southerner. I don't ever want to be associated with that. I'll move back up north before I get associated. Although I'm not going to move to New York now, not with what's going on today.
I want to get into that a little bit because you're actually kind of one of the perfect guys to discuss this with. But now, so where did you go to school?
Originally I went to Liberty University first year and a half. And then I came back home and went to Old Dominion. That's where I got my degree from. I left Liberty because it was basically like a giant high school. I wasn't doing the clique thing. I went through high school with the cliques. I don't need that in college. I don't need a student body of 5,000 people. And you can tell those are the athletes and those are the cheerleaders. And, these are the popular art kids. And these, like, you could tell. You could pick everybody out. And I was like, I left high school for a reason. So I came back home, went to ODU. And I enjoyed it there. But that's actually Liberty is how I got the connection with Rashad Jennings because that's where he went. And so, like, we got that little connection. Plus, I wrote the article about him last year. Followed me on Twitter, but then he stopped following everybody. So now he doesn't follow me anymore.
There you go. I'm trying to I have a mutual friend who's grew up with Victor Cruz and is now, tied in with all the Jets and Giants. I'm trying to get him to send some my way, but there's a lot of politics behind that. But like I said, I'm trying to enhance the show however I can. So there's actually a new intro montage that's going to debut with your episode. So now, Old Dominion, that's Jeff Capel's head coaching stomping grounds, correct?
Well, he was. Yeah, I think is he still there?
No, he's moved on.
Yeah, he's moved on to bigger and better things.
I think he went back. I could be wrong, but I think he's actually back at Duke as an assistant. I could be wrong though, but
this shows how much I go to the ODU basketball games. I go to the football games, and I just watch us get creamed. And now that we're in the Conference USA, which I said was going to happen, that we have no defense, we can't stop anybody. So we still have a shot at the playoffs for that, or actually a bowl game to be eligible. But yeah, I watch the football games. Basketball games are okay. The problem is like I kind of get looped into. Unfortunately, what is this area? We're bandwagoners for our own teams. Is nobody shows up to games. I could walk to the ODU basketball game next week, when they start up, and I could walk in the door and probably get like court tickets, I'd say 10, 15 rows back. If they start winning and they're like potentially in the tournament again,
right,
you can find a seat for the life of you. The women went to the Final Four for the women a bunch of years back. Could not get a ticket for the life of you. The very next year they stink. It was like 20% full.
Wow,
there's a bunch of bandwagoners around here.
Yeah, I could see that. So you mentioned everything you do now fantasy related, but where did you get the All In Kid handle? Is that tracking back to poker days?
Yep, that's exactly what it's coming from, and that's actually kind of the connection that got me into fantasy originally. But the All In Kid thing actually happened because when I first started playing was almost. I'd say between 15, 20 years ago is when I first started. Because it was recently. It was actually while I was going to ODU. I met some guys. I started working for a local radio station. I was hanging out with them. But when you first start playing poker, you're trying to bluff or you're trying to make big money. And what do you think is the best move when you first start playing? Is going all in. Like that's the cool thing. Hey, I'm gonna bluff. I'm gonna go all in and scare everybody away. Or I got a big hand, so I'm going to go all in and double up. You just think it's so great. So the one day we were playing a huge tournament, actually a couple tournaments all day long, 8 hours of playing poker one Saturday. And one of my buddy's friends, Don, we call him Don, what do we call it? Don something, I forget, because, it's Don. Everybody who's big, fat, and Italian is Don something. So we were playing, and about halfway through the day after I did it for, I don't know, the 20th time, he was like, damn, all in, kid. And boom, just stuck from there on. And because I was on the radio sometimes with them, that's what they just started calling me.
There you go.
That's just, so when I started my own blog for fantasy sports, it was All In Sports.
Okay.
Actually, you probably still find it. It was on Blogspot. You could probably still find some of my really old stuff.
We're going to now, were you part of the big online poker revolution? Yep. Okay. Yep. So were you doing fantasy at that time, or were you just a poker guy at that time?
No, I was doing. I've actually done fantasy for more years than poker. I've done fantasy since about 90. when did I graduate school? About 96, 97. So somewhere around there. It was very light at that time. I can't remember the site that I played on that I really liked. That's obviously not existent anymore, but it was one of the only few free ones out there because it's charged and everything like that. But I remember playing on a couple sites, gave a little bit of advice on the side, but mostly on forums, just so that's what it did. You went to like Giants forums and people were talking about it. And I was just, and that's actually how I started overall, is I would forums and I would give my fantasy advice because, people would be talking about it and I would just jump in and say, hey, I kind of know what I'm talking about. I would suggest you do this. And eventually some people on the forums, you start to develop a little bit of a relationship back in the day. They're like, why aren't you writing articles? Why aren't you just doing this? So it's actually some people just off a Giants forum that just said, hey, you should start writing articles.
Wow. And that actually kind of like the forums kind of predated Twitter in a way. I mean, they've maintained because they've built their own culture with the forums. But yeah, I mean, there are some very smart people in the forums that you just look at and think, why isn't this guy writing or doing something? But they're content just sit back. And it's kind of funny. We're gonna get into the DFS stuff in a little bit because, as you mentioned, just today was this huge decision in New York State. But it seems there's a lot of DFS guys that are very successful that are totally comfortable just sitting back in the weeds and not putting their advice or their information out there or whatever the case is. And then you look at some of their their histories and they're making a ton. So
you don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's the problem with writing too. Is like I actually went to this. I have a home auction league we've been doing for over a decade now. I came to the draft, and guess what? 3 of the people in my league were my rankings. So it's just, and that just kills, especially in an auction league, that just kills any potential value you could possibly have. So I understand why some of the people, even when I give up my DFS picks every single week, I kind of hope secretly that that's the part that people aren't reading too much of because, I want a shot to win. If I start sharing the same players as everybody else, as you want a different lineup. You want a contrarian lineup. So people start sharing your guys. Fortunately, I'm still not that big, so my reader base is still only in the thousands.
Well, no, you're being modest. You are very big.
Oh no! Come on, you see me on Twitter. You should know that's not one of my things.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. But you there is some credit and respect and appreciation deserved. So allow me to give that to you from a lot of people that follow you.
Appreciate it.
But I'm going to jump into a question because I did get one question for you. Are your fantasy pro rankings conservative because that's the secret to success?
Well, the first question first is I guess so, because that's what I get told the most. Although I've had a few women in my life tell me I should smile more. So I don't know. Maybe that's second best. I've never really considered said, I don't know. That's my eyes. I would say that's my best. I mean, I've got a decent body, not great, so I definitely can't be that. But then again, like I said, I'm still single, so I don't know how much it could be. I've got something's going wrong. Maybe I just give off that aura of being too cocky, like I said. So,
no. It's a New York thing. It's a New York thing.
No, trust me. Yeah, it's a New York thing.
It is a New York thing. I get accused of that too sometimes. And that's part of the reason, again, for this show is to give people an opportunity to see people beyond just 140 characters or an article or paragraph here or there.
And honestly, that's the thing too, is because I don't think people understand, and I've caught this throughout my entire life, is how much, being from up north, how much I'm actually joking, how very rarely I'm serious. And when I say, my profile on Twitter said I'm the Ben Affleck of fantasy because people don't like good-looking, successful, amazing people.
Right, pure
I'm 100% kidding. I really don't think I'm that amazing. I think I'm a good, everybody should have a high opinion of themselves, but I really don't think that. And when, I joke on Twitter and say, oh, my opinion is the only one that matters, I'm kidding. But as you said, you get text to begin with, and people don't get the inflection behind it. And then you get 140 characters, you even lose even more. So that's a really good point. I completely understand. Plus, again, being up from north, especially, my dad does a much better job of being clear that he's joking all the time. Me, I got a little bit of more the abrasiveness, unfortunately. But with the rankings, I don't think I'm not. Let's put it this way: I'm not intentionally conservative. I've looked at my rankings before, and it gives you that little plus minus of the expert consensus rankings. And every single week, you'll see I have 6, 7, 8, some double digits of rankings difference. And the thing is if you think of it, even that's not really conservative. You take 8 spots, you could be talking about the difference between an RB2 and an RB3. You talk about 14, you're dropping more than an entire tier. And so, I mean, if you look at my kickers from last week, I know I had people all over which let me say one thing. It's actually a two-parter. I was going to say that's proof because the kickers are all over the place, and I'm top 15 on the year in kickers.
Okay.
I only know that because it pisses me off that I'm top 15 in kickers because I hate kickers so much.
Just go Justin Tucker #1 every week, and you'll probably wind up in the top 5.
Take names out of a bag, and you'll probably be in the top 20 for accuracy. I hate that. I've eliminated from all my leagues. I write an article every single year saying get them out of your leagues. People ask me. I was in a chat on the site today. We do a chat on RotoExperts, the lunchtime chat every Tuesday. Somebody asked me a kicker question. I said I'm not answering it. I don't care. He said, should I drop Dan Bailey to pick up Hauschka because I drafted? And I said, I don't care what you do. I'm going to still rank my kickers, but I could not give. I said, what are 2 duck farts or something like that? I was just being stupid. I was like, I couldn't care what you do with your kickers.
Yeah. No, and that goes back to like the sarcasm and the the New York attitude and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm the same way. I mean, I work. I'm 14 years in the fire department. I go into work and we insult each other as a form of respect and appreciation for each other. So I that's how I talk, and people need to understand who you are completely to really get. Oh, okay, he's just being funny. But speaking of teams and your rankings and all that kind of stuff, we share a bond personally because I am a member of the FSWA as well, and
right.
I said I would take, I would enter this one of the leagues this season.
You're doing me proud.
Well, I was informed that I was going to be taking over a team that you were originally slated to be the owner of, but due to other obligations, you had to back out. So I was given the pressure of having to fall in line with what you might accomplish. So you'll be pleased to know that we're on a 4-game winning streak. We're now 6-3. We're the clear-cut division leader. The only other 6-3 team is the other division leader. We just took down Eric McClung this past week. So we're rolling right now, and
nice.
We're looking good. The roster's looking good. So
who did you draft in the first round?
I don't even remember my draft picks, but I can tell you
we got C.J. Anderson, obviously, right?
Who's that?
It wasn't C.J. Anderson.
No. I don't remember. What?
You're good. You're doing good by not having C.J. Anderson. That's all that matters.
I don't know. Well, Daniel Dobish took every Broncos, the entire team. So C.J. Anderson was probably well off the board by the time I picked. But it might have been DeAndre Hopkins, or he was certainly one of my first 2 picks. But I honestly don't even remember. But our roster's balanced and has depth. And I mean, Watkins is like our 5th receiver right now. I mean, that's just pure luxury at this point.
I'll say, Howard, it's your team. You're doing all the work.
No. I was channeling your
no, because you would have ended up, if you were channeling me, you would have ended up with C.J. Anderson and ticked off because, unfortunately, I did. As you know, the flex leagues, I was in all 3. Similar to it's not like I need to be in all the flex leagues, but it's like Steve Gardner runs labor for baseball and he's in all of them. It's just kind of to be involved and kind of if I'm not in one of them, I just kind of feel like I don't feel like I have to keep check of people to make sure they're. But it's that encouragement to stay active and involved and talk about it and stuff like that. But the standard league, I'm not doing so well. PPR, I'm actually in first with only 1 loss. The Flex Cup, I'm in the playoffs, but I think I have 3 or 4 losses, but I drafted C.J. Anderson in all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm 8-1 in the PPR league after drafting C.J. Anderson in the first round.
Well, who did you get after that? Did you take Hillman or did you get somebody?
No, I didn't get Hillman. Actually, my first 3 out of my first 4 picks I know were Anderson, Forsett, and Allen Robinson because I had them in all 3 leagues.
Okay.
Because I was higher than most people. That was the start. I don't think I had Andre Johnson in that one because that would have hurt even more. I think that's the standard. I think that's why I'm doing so bad in the standard league.
Yeah, you look at the way the season breaks down, and it could have easily gone the complete opposite way, and we wouldn't be surprised at all. If we were sitting here talking about C.J. Anderson was leading the league in touchdowns and rushing yards, basically if C.J. Anderson was putting up Devontae Freeman numbers, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think you'd be surprised. So that's the funny thing about this whole game, and it kind of leads us to where I want to go next with this, which is the New York what is it, the district attorney, the attorney general, his ruling today that New York State is now making DFS, or I think it encompasses all fantasy sports, making them illegal in the state of New York. Am I understanding that correctly?
I saw the DFS. I don't know how it translates. I know that definitely DFS. It's, you know, the state. Did you not see the DraftKings FanDuel statement where he said it was fleecing Americans?
Yeah. I have so many varying opinions on this. You know, I want to get yours, but this directly affects us. I literally a half hour ago was trying to, or an hour ago now, was trying to get a basketball lineup in for tonight. It went in. I don't know if it's fine at this point. I don't know when these laws going.
I thought you were going to say you were going to start trying to take your money out.
I mean, there's like shekels in. There's like $3 in there at this point. It's not, I'm not a big player. I really do it just for the, you know, competition, just so I have a reason, you know, to watch SportsCenter and you know, watch the ticker underneath.
Right.
I'm very conservative when it comes to, you know, put money up and stuff. But I can understand, like, you know, there's real gambling addictions, you know, with traditional gambling, with casino gambling, with betting on games and things of that nature. I mean, people really have issues and problems with that. They lose their families, their houses. So I'm not denying that fantasy sports can become that addictive. You know, you look back in home leagues and online leagues and stuff, you can easily spend $1,000, $2,000 a season just on all these entry fees and Super Bowl boxes and suicide pools and things of that nature. So I totally get that it is gambling and everything like that, but there really is more an element of, you know, strategy involved than just sitting down, putting $5 on the table, spinning a wheel, and you win or you don't win. You know, so what is your? How do you think this affects or goes? You know, moves along. Do you think there will be an appeal? Do you think this gets revoked? Do you think this stands? And if it does stand, what does that mean for the gaming industry or the fantasy gaming industry?
I gotta say, I don't really know, because this is actually surprising to me, because supposedly he was supposed to be one of the consumer more friendly attorney generals out there, and this came down. So I was actually kind of shocked to see it. I will say, as an aside, and not to get all political, but I think the government's way too involved in our lives to begin with, because you can say this argument about anything. Drinking, people lose their families over drinking all the time, get addicted to drinking, get addicted to, there's so, you know, drugs, you can take it more severe that way. It's just, so really it kind of comes down to everything in moderation, which is a cliche thing to say, but you could say that about so many things. And if the government's going to keep trying to regulate so many things in our lives, you deal with it up in New York. You can't have a soda over, what is it, 40 ounces or something like that?
44, I think, or 14. I want to say 14. I think it's 44 though.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't keep yourself from getting to be 400 pounds. That's not the government's job to regulate. You know, if you're going to do that, well, then, you know, let's step in and stop the drinking and stop the drink. You know, it's stupid on that aspect to me, but I don't want to like get stuck on that and go down that road. To speak of it from DFS standpoint, I think there's obviously enough support from the gaming industry in general to fight it. I don't know where it's going to go, though, because I've said this from day one, and, you know, you asked the question earlier, and yeah, I go back to the Full Tilt poker days. I played on Poker Stars a little bit. Full Tilt was the one that I enjoyed the most, but I went through that whole rigmarole and actually got my money out on one site, lost my money on another, fortunately. But the difference between that was there was actually an investigation where these poker sites, most of them, were actually doing underhanded things behind the scenes. You know, there was rigging and things that were getting done that were just illegal in general. Like, it had nothing to do with the gambling of it. It was just illegal business practices. So that's not what's happening. And we've already had the ruling years ago where we've said that fantasy sports is not illegal. Well, now they're calling this gambling, and I understand the aspect of it, because even fantasy sports, there's a gambling aspect of it, just like there is in poker. That's what I've always made the connection between the two, is poker and fantasy sports. There's strategy, there's luck. If you say there's not luck, I would say, I've always said 50%, like 50% of luck, 50% of skill.
Absolutely luck involved, right?
And the thing is, you know, obviously that extra 50% of skill is why you see more of the well-skilled poker players in the end of tournaments, or winning the bracelets, or winning the money. There is skill that will do that. And as we've seen with DFS, we know the guys that have become famous through DFS and are winning more than others. And we've seen people on fantasy sites doing seasonal that win more than others, even in the expert leagues and stuff like that. So there is skill. But to say that it's not a form of gambling 100%, I'm not even going to say that, unfortunately. But at the same time I don't understand how you can say, oh, it's gambling, but hey, on your way home, make sure you buy your Powerball ticket. Or
right.
It's like, it just seems like he's on a crusade. Like, it kind of seems like this is his thing. He's coming with his pitchforks and everything like that. Yeah. So there'll be a fight. This is not going to go away. This is not going to be a quick resolution.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say I am a little worried because of the state that it is New York, because it's a person who was supposed to be friendly to us. And I'm just worried that other states start following suit. I think we could eventually get to the point where it starts to get regulated, which I think it needs regulation. Mm-hmm. But I think we get to the point where it kind of gets maybe even shut down for a little while, but then comes back. So I'm just kind of worried that there might be a period where we're not having DFS for a little while things get straightened out.
Right. See, my fear, my big concern, I should say, is that the people passing judgment on this and making these laws aren't informed enough as to what it really is to be making a decision. And you take now. I even said it was a little too much in your face with all the advertising and the commercials and all that kind of stuff. It drew a lot of attention.
I say that probably had a little bit to do with it. Like,
right.
I think some of these senators, governors, and these are just kind of like, all right, I'm annoyed about it. I'm gonna do something just because I don't want to see these commercials anymore.
Right, and then when you look at it, and it's like this industry is not making a couple 100,000 or a couple million, billions, and you can't look at an NBA or an NFL or an MLB game now and not see, like the Knicks have DraftKings logos in front of the play, right, on the court by the benches, like, so. I think there's a little bit of resentment towards it, which is kind of leading to this rash decision. And my question is, and you hear this argument a lot, is how do you think, if it does in any way, differ from the stock market?
I don't think much at all. And I think what it comes down to is with the stock market, it's almost exactly the same. You're putting money into risks, investments. You can make intelligent decisions saying that, these should be more profitable. I'm going to put my money here. If things bomb out, that's my money I lost. If it makes money, that's my money I won. But it comes back to what you said, the fact that it's billions. They just want their piece. That's what it comes down to, is the government wants their piece of the pie. And whereas with stocks, they tax you at the end of the year from your profits if you pull the money back out. For everybody's like, oh, well, you said the wrong thing. I understand that you don't get taxed, but whatever. I think that's what it's going to come down to, is they just want to tax it. They want to regulate it, get their money, get their share, which of course is going to hurt our return value, because you got to account for that. And these DraftKings and FanDuel will have to account for taxes. But I really just think that's what it is, because the one-site fantasy draft, I know recently somebody was telling me that they started, when they tried to pull out money, they got an email saying, we need you to fill out a W-9. Which I know right now that if you make less than $600, it doesn't matter. But if it makes it over 600, that's their choice, I think, to start, have that report to the government so you do get taxed. And I think that's really all it is. The government wants their money.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned, and the scary part is this is New York, and that's a right. Big domino. That's a big domino to start the whole process. But it's not over. And as you mentioned, in the big leagues that are involved, I mean, they have a vested interest and a lot at stake in this as well. So I think there will be a huge battle that, starts to emerge in the courts and everything. And this is basically not even the tip of the iceberg yet, but we're still in the groundwork and beginning stages.
Everybody's just got to voice their opinion. I mean, you got the sites where you can sign the petitions, you can say something, you can email your congressman. When it comes down to is, you said, which I think is a really good point, and I saw somebody on Twitter say this too, is like, it's the generation, mine, even younger, like basically anyone from about 20 to 40 years old needs to start getting more involved in politics and making their voice heard. And you can vote these people out. You can vote, if that's your one thing that you really want to, be the supporting factor, whether you vote for somebody, you can have that choice. The biggest problem is there's a lot of mine. I think you're pretty much younger than me, but I think
I'm older. I'm 40.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I would have never guessed.
I'm slightly, yeah. Well, thank you. I'm trying.
That's good for you. We're both in the same boat. Don't look as old as we are.
No,
So the generation behind us.
Right.
The problem is there's a lot of us in these two generations which just have been sitting back and saying, whatever. There's only so much you can change, which is true to a degree. But unless you start saying something, these kind of people, as you said, who are not in touch with what it's really about and what it really means and what there's really involved, are going to be the ones making the decisions for us. And then what can you do if you didn't say anything?
Right. It feels like it's a rash decision is what it amounts to. But we could talk all day about this, but we'll
let's have some more fun. Let's get back to
we'll lighten things up a little. Now, I've been a big proponent of getting my guests to give something away to the audience. So I had Scott Fish give a free entry into next year's Fishbowl. Matt Harmon has given a future copy of his reception perception model. That's going to be coming out. He's going to give that ebook. JJ Zachariason was my last guest. He's offering to give away a free 20-minute Skype session of basically, advice, basically like the draft day consultants kind of thing. So now I come to you, my friend, and what can I coax out of you to give? It could be like an Old Dominion foam finger.
No. I started to get really close to the camera here. I'm reaching over for something, so I actually have something I can give away. So hold on, because look, I've done. Let's just put it this: I did chats on Sunday mornings like this. It got a little creepy. There were some people saying like, "Oh, my husband doesn't like the fact that I enjoy watching you so much," and I was like, "So," I'm like, I really don't need to know that, but and you can do the chats with me on Tuesday anyway, but. I'm going to wave this by really quick so you can't read it, but these are, see, there you go. They're cards. I got a few of them here for RotoExperts packages. So because one of my columns is only behind the wall, which is it's actually a metric I came up with. It's D8. It's DAF. So it's like Daffy Duck trying to say DAP. It's defensive adjusted fantasy points. And basically I came up with that about 5 years ago. And as a way to saying, this team allows the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. But you have to adjust for the fact that, if they face Tom Brady every single week, of course they're going to be the one allowing the most.
Right.
So it's a way of, I've included a lot of metrics and calculations to come up with adjusted fantasy points so you can rank it. So that's behind the wall. But there's other good stuff from Scott and everybody on our site. So it's the packages, which actually I think they cost like $40. I'll give away 5 of these. So people can you decide how you want to give them away.
Yeah, I got to come up with some type of I'm trying to think of some type of virtual scavenger hunt, if you will. Like it's going to be, they're going to have to obviously watch these episodes. They're going to have to be able to answer some questions on what we discussed today. They're going to have to be subscribed to the channel. And it's I have a nice little arsenal collection of giveaways now, great giveaways at that. So I'm excited and pleased and honored to have that now in the collection and figure out a way to kind of give these out now. So I definitely do appreciate that. I want to ask you some personal things. Like, what are some of your other interests and hobbies besides
sports?
Yeah, exactly.
Not a lot. I do fantasy baseball too, but honestly, the 2 things I do the most are pretty much eat out. I know I don't look like it, but I love food. That's why I started a deli. I think we had that conversation.
No, tell me about this. You started a deli.
I did. I started my own deli.
Awesome.
Well, man, we'll get to that in a second. I started in 2012 down here in Virginia Beach because, as you know from being from up north, there was nothing like a New York deli down here. And that's what I was trying to bring, was a New York deli, somewhere where I was using Thuman's meats, which for anybody that doesn't know, Thuman's is pretty much, it's boar's head. Actually, boar's head, real quick side little factoid for people that probably nobody cares about, but boar's head and Thuman's actually used to work together. The reason Thuman's went to New Jersey is because way back in the early 1900s, you couldn't cross state lines with food. You couldn't sell across. So
I did not know that. But
fun fact.
I'll give you my take on Thuman's. They were exclusive to Pathmark, and we have kind of this I can't think of the word I'm thinking of right now, but a preconceived notion that Boar's Head is just superior. And we used to do our food shopping for Firehouse in Pathmark. We now have Fairway that we go to, and they only had Thuman's. So if we were trying to do like sandwiches or something like that, it just kind of was in the back of your head, like, it's not Boar's Head.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, well, okay. And that's right. It is a fun fact for me. I don't know if anybody else listening.
No, everybody, that could be one of your scavenger hunt questions because nobody really cares.
No, that works right there. That works.
I will say every single product, you probably couldn't even tell. The only thing that's the difference is Thulman's roast beef, whatever they do, is definitely better than Boar's Head. Okay. But the bolognas, the hot dog, in my opinion, the hot dogs, those like basically the processed type of meats, I think Boar's Head does better. But everything else, I mean, you could do a blind taste test and you would never know. So anyway, that's who we had. So it was big 5-ounce sandwiches, 5 ounces of meat, an ounce of cheese, big, thick. We had different breads, stuff like that. All of our, pastries and breakfast and stuff. Everything's made in house. My mom actually helped. It was like a family thing. My dad helped too. Everything made to order, everything cut fresh. So really good. You come in, as up north, the big thing, you get your lunch, and on Monday you get your pound of meat for the week or a couple pounds of meat. And that's really what we were trying to do. Okay. Down here in Virginia Beach, nobody knows what a deli is. I had people calling me up asking if I had pizza, if I had burgers. Okay. I had somebody call me up, ask me if I had pizza. I was like, no, we're a deli. We serve sandwiches. Right. They call me back a minute later. Do you have pasta? It's a deli.
Not a restaurant.
Like, people just don't know what a deli is. So also because it was premium, it was 7, 8, and sometimes 9 for like the really big roasted sandwiches.
Cheap up here.
Yeah, but you get a side and stuff like that. So, but people didn't like the prices. They wanted Subway prices for what we're offering. I'm like, I could tell you, I can make you a Subway. I could put two pieces of meat and give you a Subway sandwich. But people just didn't understand. So I did that for 2.5 years. Never actually got into the green. Had to close it, unfortunately. It was kind of a little bit more frustrating than I thought it would be anyway. So, and this is my true passion. So I was able to do this full time, which just happened to happen around the same time. Happened to happen. That was good. That was good grammar right there. Around the same time.
Nobody's grading you. Nobody's grading.
I'm gonna get a little A- at the end. If it happened to happen. So that's what happened in those. That was 2012 to 2014 and a half as I actually did that. So to circle all the way back around. Okay. That's what I was doing on the side, but that's why I like eating out, and I really wish they would have seen, because now I go and there's nowhere to get a great sandwich. That's the only thing I miss about it. So
you gotta come back up to the tri-state region.
Oh, I do. One of the things that I do is anytime I'm up there, I have to go out and eat places. When I was up in Toronto for the DraftKings show with Nando, I had to go out and eat and try different places because that's what I love to do. But to finish the answer to your question, the only other big thing I do is I do watch TV. I still watch a lot of TV. I play video games a little bit on the side. I go out and actually play like some sports, golf, some flag football, ultimate frisbee, that kind of stuff. But I have about 40 shows on my DVR. And not all of them are at the same time. Some of them are summer shows. Some of them are fall, spring. They don't all. It's not like I have 40, every single week. Right. But there's a lot of shows. Like I in my chats, I always try to encourage people. I love to talk TV.
Well, the DVR is amazing for that simple fact that it gives you the flexibility to do other stuff and then catch up on your time. So what would be your top 3 shows?
The Flash is number 1. Okay. I love The Flash. I'm not a comic book nerd, but I've always I was always a huge Batman person growing up. So I like the DC. I like Marvel too. Anybody who's DC or Marvel probably just like, oh, you can't like both. You gotta, but I like. I just think that's a really good show. Outside of that, I'm trying to think like shows that I have to watch as soon as they come on. It would be The Flash. I watch the night of. Supernatural. I watched the night of, which is looking really good for people's opinion of me that I just named 2 CW shows.
Yes. Yes.
I don't watch the vampire stuff or anything like that. I like Arrow, but that's not.
Nights in Virginia Beach.
Yeah. I like. Here, let's see real quick because I know there's something else in my top 3. I'm gonna go manage recordings right now because I don't want to miss one and tell you the wrong one. See, I got like Big Bang Theory. I do like. I think people who hate that are just haters.
No, that's kind of totally different, but I think that's kind of entering the realm of a modern day Seinfeld where it just could be on, whether it's a repeat, whether you've seen it, whether you haven't seen it, and it's just on, you can watch it and still find it entertaining. So like I said, totally different premise and everything, but
I still watch Friends in bed while I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
I've seen every single episode like 750 times, but I still watch Friends. I do like the Marvel Shield the show.
Okay.
I do. The new Limitless show is actually pretty good and really fun.
Are you excited about Star Wars coming out?
I already got my tickets, of course.
There you go. All right.
South Park. I said Supernatural yet. Oh, I will say this: it is on here, but The Walking Dead is overrated.
See, I waver with this. I get into it, then I say the same thing, and then I start watching them again, and then I'm right back into it. So
this is why, is because they do the same thing every single year, and I keep getting sucked in. And it's my own fault. The first 2 or 3 episodes are great, and I'm not saying you have to be 100% action. And the last 2 to 3 episodes are great, but then they do this, like last week's episode. They do this middle of the season stuff where it's just like for like 40 minutes of the episode. Yeah. It's just like, I don't need action, but you can mix in a few things, or I don't need people talking for 45 minutes. Yeah, no,
well, see, that's the thing. Like the last 2 episodes that I thought were great were when they were getting taken over. The town was getting taken over. Yeah. And had the huge battle. That was totally, to me, unexpected. Came out of nowhere and was, action-packed episode. And then the episode following that, when they tell the whole story of I don't even remember his name, but
the guy with the stick.
Yeah, when he tells his whole story of why he became the guy with the stick and his philosophies and all that. That was kind of like a lot of talking and Zen-like, but it was to me, I don't know, I'm into that kind of stuff as well. So it was, you have back-to-back weeks of completely different, action levels, but entertaining at the same time. So I have to say I'm a fan of that show.
I did. I liked the episode. I just was part of it was longer than normal hour. And when I start kind of like zoning out and start doing all stuff on my phone, that's when I know you've kind of lost me a little bit.
Yes.
I think that they could have done a focus on that, but still checked in with other things, or like at least found some balance, at least in my opinion, especially actually, and I'm going to go back on one thing is, oh my gosh, why don't you just leave like plot threads? Like all of a sudden he got out of the bus okay, and the cut on his hand is gone.
Right.
Like, what I'm talking about with Rick? Like he just like, 2 weeks ago, hey, he got a huge gash on his hand he's trying to deal with. We don't know if it's really just a gash from fighting our glass or whatever, or if something bit him. Right. And he's in a bus, and they zoom out, and all the zombies are coming around the bus. And then 2 weeks later, he's running towards the city, and his hand's healed up, and it's just like, I made it out okay.
Yeah, inconsistencies. Yeah, all right. I'll give you that one. But like you were saying with the episode, we are now around the 40-minute mark. So unfortunately, I'm gonna wrap things up. I would love to get you back. What's that?
You're kicking me off, is what you're saying. That's what
no, not at all.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
All right. Well, I definitely want to get you back on another episode in the future. And like I said, we can see. To me, this is the great part about it. It's like I feel like I can talk to you all night because we have a lot of similar interests. So I think that there might be people out there that are watching this and saying, oh, you know what? I didn't know Jake watched The Big Bang Theory or Supernatural, all that kind of stuff. And oh wow,
I'm a Friends trivia nerd.
Exactly. So there's ways of connecting with the people that we're already connected to that can only enhance our relationships, and that's kind of the aim with all this. But I didn't
get to ask you.
Yeah.
Did you get your tickets for Star Wars already?
No, I did not. I will go, but I just went to my first Comic-Con this year. They've been doing it in New York. I didn't even realize it's.
I've never even been to one of those.
10 years already, and And I just went because my kids are at that age where they're kind of into that now. They're 16 and 14, and I grew up on Star Wars. I remember going to having all the figures and everything like that, and it's nostalgic for me. But I was a fan of the first 3. And then, the next wave that came out kind of lost me a little. So
I think it lost everybody. And this is the movers that were doing this. I have the lightsabers, the ones that actually make the noise, that are made out of like plexiglass,
right?
The real deal type of things. I did it because I was helping out youth at church, and we had themes every single year because they did contest things. And one of the teams was Star Wars. That was one of the ones that I was with. I was with Star Wars, so I bought the lightsabers. I was Count Dooku. I dressed up like him and everything like that.
Nice.
So they saw that while I was moving, and this is how I know he wasn't a Star Wars fan, because he saw those. He's like, "Oh, you big Star Wars? You excited for the new one?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." He goes, "Yeah, they're pretty good. I think I really like the Phantom Menace one. I like, they just don't even talk to me. Like, get the hell out of my house.
Yeah. Right. You're not getting the essence of it. So, I'm curious to see how Disney does, because it's George Lucas is completely out of the mix now. It's like, from what I understand.
Oh, I get chills with the trailers. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks good. But there's so, I mean, we live in a day and age where there's just so much good stuff out there now. So it'll take me a minute to get to it. I was commenting. I saw the movie The Walk.
Yeah.
I was blown away by the CGI, and
Really?
Yeah, it really, like, you would have thought they filmed this, back in 2000, prior to,
I haven't seen it because I was sitting there. In my mind, I'm just like an hour and a half about some dude walking across two buildings.
Yeah, but it's really more just it's you don't have to. I wanted to go see it in IMAX to get the full effect, but you can wait. You can wait till it comes out on DVD. But it's a good Sunday night, can't sleep after Sunday night football's over and looking for something to do. Pop that on, and it's a good watch. But
Martian was really good.
I think I'm anti-Martian. I don't think I could see it.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like I've seen the whole movie from the trailers already that have been out for about a year. So I've been told I'm being biased and I should go see it because it is good. But maybe I'll get around to it. I might.
Yeah, I'm telling you personally, you should go see it. And you don't have to see it in the theaters. Like you wouldn't be missing that much. I mean, it's cool, but you do need to see it though. It's a really good movie, even if you're not a fan of Matt Damon.
All right. No, I actually do like Matt Damon, but it was more just kind of like not
Matt Damon, South Park.
What's that?
I said the Matt Damon thing from South Park. It was in my mind. Sorry, random.
I like South Park. I just don't watch it enough to get a lot of the references.
You gotta watch it this year. They're doing great this year.
I'm gonna start DVRing it.
Ripping the Whole Foods and like PC, which I love because I hate PC stuff. I hate, like, everybody's got to be politically correct. Right. So this whole season's about PC and getting the Whole Foods and making the city better, and it's actually really funny. But anyway, sorry. I see you got me rambling too again. So
well, no, that's what I'm saying. This is like that. Like I said, we can go for days with this. So I definitely am going to get you back in the future, and we will reconvene and go over some new movies that came out and the DFS update when I get you on again in your return. But for the meantime, I want to thank you again for joining me this week, and tell everybody again where you are. I'm going to have an overlay so people will see your name and your Twitter handle and they'll be able to find you there and start following you if they're not already. But just to remind people, where can they find your work?
Well, first, thank you for having me. Like, seriously, honored, appreciated you having me as one of the guests. But you can follow me at AllInKid, all one word, as you talked about with the nickname. At RotoExperts.com is my weekly column every single week where I got waivers, sleepers, my rankings, DraftKings picks, as long as those keep going for now. And then, of course, over at the Fantasy Sports Network, and then spots on Sirius XM. And actually, you're going to have a Fantasy Sports Network radio show coming up soon, too. So you won't be able to get away from me.
Nice. Well, that's all good stuff. And one of the hardest working men in the industry. So definitely be following Jake. And he's giving away another great prize on this show. So we'll thank him for that, and thank him for his time today. Jake, I appreciate it, and we'll talk soon, bud.
That sounds good. And my dreamy eyes.